Hello, I'm Benjamin Holt, and welcome to Insecurity, Episode 1. We'll be talking about small arms and light weapons. Now first, what are they? Small arms are a gun, or some other weapon you can use by yourself. Light weapons, you need someone else to help you use them, or you need to transport them by means of truck or a beast of burden like a horse. These are in contrast to other conventional weapons like a tank or a fighter jet. Now, there are states that face threats from small arms and light weapons, and others that do not. States that face threats from small arms and light weapons tend to be from South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Countries who do not tend to be more powerful states like the United States, Russia, and Japan. The states that are threatened by small arms and light weapons find challenges in significant areas. For example, a gunshot wound or another injury caused by a small arm or light weapon can take $3,000 to treat. However, people in these countries tend to earn only a few $100s per year or less. The prevalence of small arms and light weapons can create a serious detriment to individual people and the health systems in those countries. There's also the issue of economic investment. Areas with plenty of small arms and light weapons tend to be conflict prone. Businesses logically tend to avoid these areas because conflict can ruin business opportunities. Then there's the issue of child soldiers. In areas that are conflict prone, often child soldiers are recruited. Child soldiers leave their communities and the areas they grew up in and learn the ways of a soldier and the culture of a soldier. When a conflict ends, these young adults have not learned during their childhood how to make a living and basically get a job. Therefore, the process of reintegrating these young adults into society is difficult and sometimes not successful and can lead to a reemergence of conflict. Small arms and light weapons are a necessary addition for child soldiers. Therefore, controlling these weapons can reduce the problem of child soldiers. To control weapons, people tend to assume a country will provide security forces to enforce order, the rule of law, and keep violence from escalating. Some countries are too weak to do this, others do not respect human rights. For countries that are too weak, they might need exports of small arms and light weapons. Therefore, there is a legitimate security use for them. But if they are not properly controlled, human rights abusers and countries that abuse human rights can gain access to these weapons and use them to hurt citizens. It is therefore important to have arms control. The current state of the arms trade can only be explained by understanding the history. The major arms trade started during the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union exported weapons to allies in order to fight their ideological war, often without regard for human rights or the detriment they would cause to the people living in the areas receiving the weapons. In the 1990s, after the Cold War had ended, we saw a small drop in the number of weapons sold. However, the world was still saturated with weapons from the Cold War. The terrorist attacks that occurred on September the 11th of 2001 caused the United States to increase its arms exports with the intent to fight the global war on terror. The Russian Federation during this time revived many of the defense industry plants that were left over from the Soviet Union to increase its profits from foreign trade. This has led to the current situation in the world where there are 600 million small arms, many of them owned by private citizens. Countries can acquire weapons legally by submitting a request to an export country to buy weapons. The export country then reviews this request in line with their public and economic policy. However, there are ways to acquire weapons off the black market. These weapons can be accessed by individuals, groups, or countries. Popular ways for the black market to acquire weapons include stealing them from poorly guarded military supplies, buying them from corrupt military officials seeking their own personal profit, by forging a request to an export country so the export country thinks it's selling weapons to a legitimate buyer, and by buying them legally in one country and smuggling them to another. The United Nations and other international groups have tried to form some ways to control the export of small arms and combat the illicit trade. These ways include the 1996 Wassenaar Agreement, under which countries inform each other about requests for sale by other countries. This allows countries to ensure that they are not selling weapons to a country that has already requested weapons from another country and been denied, or it exposes countries that are seeking to acquire masses of weapons little by little from various different countries. There is also the 1997 ban on landmines. This is a binding international agreement, meaning it's international law. This has been the most successful agreement in international history regarding small arms and light weapons. However, it only covers landmines. In 2001, the countries of the world created the Program of Action at the United Nations to address the problem. The Program of Action was designed to help combat the illicit arms trade and help provide better arms export control in the legal market. However, the Program of Action is weak. Several key provisions were stripped out at the insistence of powerful countries, and it is a non-binding agreement. That means it does not have the force of international law and is merely a set of guidelines. This is the inspiration for this video series to better understand powerful states and their ability to influence arms control. Join me next episode where we look at powerful states, their interest, their relation to the arms trade, and in particular, we will focus on the United States because it has significant power in the international arena, and it is the #1 arms supplier. Thank you.